We're underway in Durham. The officials tonight, Frank Scagliotta, Larry Rose, and Duke Edsel. You saw the series. Duke has lost 3 straight to North Carolina. Inside to Williams, and it's 2-0 Tar Heels.
Boy, what a basic play to start off with. The freshman Langdon, who has not played against Carolina. We'll see that the next 4 years he's here. A backdoor cut, just like it to be diagrammed.
Man-to-man defense by North Carolina. Langdon, left side to Parks for 2. We're tied.
Cherokee, of course, has shown throughout the course of this year that he's not afraid to step outside and become very proficient from that area. Interesting matchup. Cherokee Parks man-to-man on Stackhouse. Let's see if Stackhouse puts the ball on the floor and tries to beat him.
Stolen by Capel. It'll belong to North Carolina.
Backdoor cut was available to McGinnis the same way. Big overplay by Duke on the man-to-man defense.
Just underway, we're tied at 2.
Well, Stackhouse not looking to take Parks early on. I think that's a mistake.
McGinnis.
Very bad defense so far, Tim, in this ball game. Almost like a fake phantom defense by Duke. Not what you're used to seeing, and one of the reasons they're not winning ball games. They're not shutting people down with tough man-to-man.
Billy, you talked about emotion, though. Sometimes emotion gets in the way of concentration.
That can be true. You know, you can get too high up for a ball game.
Price picked up his dribble. Parks with fire. He's not close.
Good hit at it, Stackhouse. Stackhouse being very patient so far in this ball game. That's what I expect right there. Just taking Parks off the dribble. No way Parks quick enough to stay with it.
Just like that, it's 6-2, North Carolina.
It's amazing to see such deficiency in Duke in the man-to-man defense.
Capel, top of the key. This is Price. He has it taken away.
Pull up by McGinnis.
Back to McGinnis. Swinging around. Williams. Yes.
The delay fast break, something North Carolina has been great at for a number of years.
9-2. North Carolina.
And Tim, what really made that play is McGinnis pulling up. You know, not getting caught in the traffic down inside the foul lane. A year ago, that had been a mistake on his part.
Price gets caught down low. Almost has it stolen. Duke looks very unsure of itself right now.
Well, starting 2 freshmen really don't have what you would consider a true point guard on the floor.
This foul will be against Jeff McGinnis, his first team foul.
But by the time you get into February, by the schedule that Duke has played, you know, freshmen are ready to be sophomores. So people have to step up. Carolina goes to zone out of bounds.
Nice pass to Parks, and he couldn't handle it.
He had the easy basket.
Sure did. Capel laid it up for him, and he just couldn't get there.
Carolina shoots over 50% again this year from the field. So far tonight, they've had nothing but easy looks inside. They're going to keep that up. Reverse with a backdoor cut. Capel doing a better job on it.
Wallace comes way out. This is Stackhouse. It's the mismatch Billy talked about. Stackhouse got poked in the eye. Turnover Tar Heels. They're first.
Gary Stackhouse goes down on his knees. Almost like he was faint for a second there.
Looked like Langdon was the one who reached in and poked him in the eye.
His eyes still closed. You can see, Tim, he really suffered some pain.
Serge Zwicker will come into the game.
Now you can see, without question, foul on the play, no call made.
So Stackhouse goes out to get some medical attention. Zwicker comes in.
Which ought to really help Duke from a standpoint of matchups, because it'll be Zwicker, somebody that Parks without any problem can handle.
Williams. Yes, for three.
Well, when Donald gets that stroke going and moves into the basket off his jump shot, he is really tough to handle.
Williams has 8 points. Carolina leads by 10. 16:23 to go. First half. We'll be back after this from Budweiser.
Jerry Stackhouse back on the court. Good to see, not a real severe injury. Donald Williams off to an excellent start. He's been just hanging out on the perimeter. Good penetration by Carolina on the swing on the semi-delayed break. And Carolina comes out showing a 2-3 zone, something they've used a lot this year.
North Carolina 5 for 5 from the field thus far. Duke just 1 of 2. And it's the Tar Heels by 10.
Watch Jerry Stackhouse really flexible on the inside, the back line of that zone.
Langford, he was short with his shot.
Boy, with Duke having the advantage with 2 power players in the game, you'd think they'd get some kind of high-low going inside, make Wallace really have to work on defense.
Wallace hits Carolina 6 for 6. Absolutely no D right now by Duke.
Carolina showed the zone one time, come back to man-to-man. There it is.
Inside of Meek.
There it is, Tim. A little high-low offense. Using the big people. Somebody's going to be in a mismatch. Either Parks or Wallace has to take either Parks or Meeks.
Wallace!
Back screen on Meeks.
16-4 North Carolina. Oh, was that pretty.
Well, nobody talked to Meek at all on that particular play. And when you get the blind back screen, it's kind of tough.
Carolina perfect. Off balance, banks it in. Nicely done. Trajan Langdon.
Good power move. Second one of the game so far by Langdon. Although he didn't hit the first one.
Williams is on fire. He now has 10 points.
Something like the shot that he made against Wake Forest to put that game in a position for Carolina to win.
Here's Meek again inside, gets his own rebound, and he's pushed. That'll be the first on Wallace. And the second team foul.
If Duke is going to get back into this game, they have to force Wallace to guard somebody every time down the court. Try to wear him down or get him into foul trouble. Trade one big man for the other. There was the back screen. Wallace getting the perfect lob.
Steve Wojciechowski checks in now for the Blue Devils. He'll be the point. 3-guard attack now by the Blue Devils.
Langdon get good penetration off the dribble.
Langdon, the Capel. Langdon left alone in the corner.
Look at Wallace play.
Wallace!
He made that play on the first step down on the other end of the floor just by beating the Duke big guys right out of the pack. Terrific effort.
Inside to Parks.
Stripped by Williams.
Fouled by Wallace. That's 2 on Wallace.
And that's what Duke has got to do. They've got to make that outstanding young big player guard somebody every time down the floor. Good move by Cherokee on the inside. There was Williams with the strip. Cherokee stays right with it. And with his strength, takes Wallace up.
Bucket's good and one. Parks goes to the line. He's a 76% free throw shooter.
Right now, Cherokee and Stackhouse, 2 leading scorers in the ACC, going head-to-head tonight. Wallace on the bench, exactly where Duke would like to see him.
That cuts the lead back to 11. Say what you will about the freshman Wojciechowski, but he's tough.
He'll play somebody. Put a little pressure on that ball.
Calabria, nice move. Can't get the bucket to go. This foul will be called on Wojciechowski, so Wojo picks up his first.
Fouls on bench number 12, Steve Wojciechowski.
Coming up at halftime, stay tuned for the Continental Airlines Fast Takes Contest. It's brought to you by Continental, the official airline of the ACC. Tim Brandt and Billy Packer with you at Cameron Indoor Stadium, 13:25 to go in the first half.
Both teams really small on the floor right now. A lot of guards playing in this game.
Calabria went out, Landry replaced him. Stackhouse, this is for 3.
Stackhouse for 3.
Stackhouse now has 5 points.
When you take in consideration this Carolina team and you wonder why they're so good this year, great three-point shooting club. Stackhouse, the worst of the 4 starters, shooting right at 40%.
Leaks battling inside. Stackhouse pulls it down.
Great out. Second good decision by McInnis today.
Stackhouse fouled before the shot. This will be on Parks out front. That'll be his first. This is the largest Carolina lead of the game at 23-9.
Parks, his first, second.
Well, you can see again, Tim, Stackhouse just much too quick for Parks. Really a mismatch by position. Cherokee now trying to lay off him so he doesn't get beat off that dribble.
Good defense by Wojo out front. Pushed the shot too hard. Langdon pushes. Wojciechowski picked up his dribble and got into trouble.
You can tell that Duke, because of the loss, is very unsure of themselves. Very little that they're doing today is instinctive. It seems like almost every pass is a thought process.
That's 4 turnovers now for the Blue Devils. I'm not sure who Collins was throwing to on that last one. See what Carolina has done off those turnovers we talked about.
And Tim, when you think of Duke, again, trying to point out the tough problems they've had this year, they only have 5 more assist and turnovers on the year. Very unusual for their ball club. A lot of it has to do with the inexperience, and I'm sure a lot of it in regard to uncertainty, lack of confidence.
This is Collins. He's having a tough year, struggling.
Pretty good man-to-man defense by Carolina, cutting off all the passing lanes inside.
Parks thought he was free for a second inside the Meek.
Pretty good job by Zwicker. His job is to play the minutes while Wallace on the bench. Oh, awesome.
Stackhouse! Oh, my!
Awesome play. Not many guys in the college level, if any, can do this. Goes underneath, gets fouled twice, and still jams.
Stackhouse is 6'6".
I think that Duke making a huge mistake with Cherokee Parks trying to guard him, Tim.
Parks is 6'11", Meek 6'10". Stackhouse not afraid to take it at anybody.
What you can do is you can put Parks on the guy least likely to shoot the ball, Landry, and then put a better matchup man on Stackhouse.
Parks has 2 personals. 11:33 to go in the half. It's Carolina big. (26-9) Carolina. You see the time remaining in the first half. Donald Williams with 10 points. Stackhouse with 8. Wallace with 6 for the Tar Heels.
Little jump here by North Carolina right out of the timeout situation.
Collins now 7 for 44 from beyond the arc this year. Parks with a follow. Nice power move inside. He had 7 points.
Real answer for Cherokee Parks down inside where he has the advantage over Stackhouse.
Parks knocks it out of bounds. Really huge mismatch there with Parks and Stackhouse. You mentioned it early. Carolina really taking advantage of it.
Well, Carolina taking advantage of the mismatch when it's in their favor. And there you see 3 outstanding sophomores.
Pretty good numbers. All 5 starters average double figures for the Tar Heels. Almost stolen by Capel. Here's Stackhouse. Last touch by Zwicker. It'll be Duke basketball.
Number 55, Greg Newton, and number 3,
Dean Smith, 34
Rice.
years as head coach at North Carolina. 819 wins.
Number 30,
It's kind of interesting. Dean Smith comes back even with this big lead with Wallace, who has 2 fouls that he picked up early. I think the reason for that is Parks goes out of the game. Dean Smith figures that he can have Wallace in the game being active without Parks.
Collins, nice pump fake. He's fouled. Stackhouse is whistled. That's his first.
Jerry Stackhouse realizing Collins, not a great leaper, probably should have stayed on the ground, Tim.
On the team. Shooting for the Blue Devils, number 20, Chris Collins.
It was amazing. The first time I ever saw Chris play was in the McDonald's All-American game where he had won the three-point shooting contest. And now, as you pointed out, having all kinds of problems from the perimeter as a shooter.
At the foul line, though, Billy is 11 for 13. Hey, a reminder, stay tuned at halftime when Dick Vitale presents the DirecTV Dish Out the Winner Sweepstakes. 26 to 13 with 10 and a half to go in the first half. Carolina big. Price back in the ballgame. Calabria takes it down the middle. Turnover.
Nice job by Meek.
Collins throws it away.
When you're down by 13, you can't afford behind-the-back passes on the break. Got to play it solid.
He had a 3-on-1. I don't know why he didn't take it to the middle.
Exactly, Tim.
Oh, nice pass to Landry.
Second time we've seen it today.
By Pierce Landry.
No help back there. You know, it's just a little fake to the top. A lot of times with a little reverse dribble. Carolina didn't need it that time. It's been a patented move by the Tar Heels for years.
There's Ricky Price. That's his first basket. He's a nice-looking player. He did miss 4 games with a sprained ankle. And to be honest, he hadn't really been the same since.
Nope. Wallace open. McGinnis doesn't have the angle for it. McGinnis making a lot of good judgments in this game so far.
Shot clock hasn't really come into play until here. This is 8 on the shot clock now. McGinnis will go to work. Calabria, 1 on the shot clock.
Big break for Carolina.
Stackhouse has it blocked.
Good job by Newton. Stackhouse next time, I guarantee will put that ball on the floor and go by him with the dribble. Could have been the third.
Meek got too far under the hoop.
Now there's a case where Eric probably should have thought about drawing the foul and not worried about scoring because he had Wallace in really a dangerous position. And there you see, no pump fake. Good job by Newton. He blocks his man out and then takes off down the other end of the court. Nice play.
Capel comes back into the ball game. Collins goes out. Langdon, Parks, Capel, Price, and Newton on the floor for Duke.
And Tim, we talked about that play with Eric Meek. He's never going to be the most gifted guy to avoid the contact. And if he would have gone for contact with Wallace, he'd have had Wallace on that bench with 3 fouls here early, basically in the first half.
Eric Meek getting a breather.
And having a pretty solid season for a guy that intended initially to redshirt.
He had a terrific game against Joe Smith last weekend. Held Joe to 6 points.
Well, Joe came back pretty well against Virginia, though, didn't he?
He sure did.
Wallace again off and running.
Matter of fact, I think that was the best performance I've seen all year by anybody. Joe Smith.
Not only one of the conference's best, but one of the nation's best.
Tell you what else, Junior Burrow was awfully strong last night. Here's Calabria.
Much better defense by Duke on this set right here.
Williams. Newton with another big rebound.
Newton, of course, having some academic problems here at Duke University with a potential suspension, playing extremely well in this game.
Price with a follow.
Cherokee made that by shocking it.
Duke's making a run. They seem to have taken it up a level.
Playing much harder defense right now.
This will be called on Parks. But it's an 8-2 run right now by the Blue Devils.
Foul is on number
Stackhouse will be in here shortly.
7:47 to go in the half. We'll be back after this message from Park West Auto Parts.
You're going to see a young man playing only 11 minutes a game on the season, but showing he wants more time tonight. Look at how hard Newton works on Wallace. Fights his way through the screen, beats him to the spot, fights him off when he tries to get position, helps out on defense, and then goes up strong for a rebound. Terrific all-around playing by Newton on defense.
A couple of big bodies, too. Newton 6'11", 220 pounds. Wallace 6'10", 225. 28-11, North Carolina. The backdoor this time broken up by Capel, and last touch by Wallace.
Capel might have hurt his leg on that particular play. He stayed at home when he recognized the back screen. That's why he was there to deflect that pass.
Capel looked over to the bench and asked for a sub.
He's running a little better now. Looks like he ran the injury off. He'll hit the jumper and then say, "Coach, I'll stay in."
Here's Newton.
Faded away on the shot a little bit. Aggressively looked for it, though. Carolina certainly cooling off after that torrid start.
And Duke has taken it up a level on an 8-2 run. Wallace ends that, and he's fouled.
Excellent positioning by Wallace, and a great feed by McGinnis. Wallace got what he had right there is he realized how aggressive Newton had been the last time, beating him to the spot coming over the top. So he set out a little higher, and that made Newton go out 2 steps further, gave him a perfect position to throw the lob over the top. This is the most aggressive I've seen Newton play. They said he did it in practice, but this first time in the game, he really seems like he's into it.
Langdon left alone, goes inside. Nice pass. Oh, how about that? Newton put it away.
There's the high-low situation with Duke taking advantage of superior size inside for that matchup with Stackhouse and Parks. Let's see how long it takes Stackhouse to take advantage of his superiority and quickness against Parks.
McGinnis gets doubled. Shot clock at 7. This is McGinnis. The Blue Devils make another stop.
Carolina really cooling off. There's Price with that great first step.
Offensive.
Nice job by Wallace.
Right guard Pure Power is proud to present the ACC Player of the Week. Look for this feature prior to the second half tip-off.
You know, Tim, a guy like Price that has that unbelievable first step that he can move, a nice hand for Newton going out. And he's got to learn that when he beats his guy and sees there's going to be traffic inside, pull up, take that little short jump. He can really be a prolific scorer here at Duke University.
Newton replaced by Meek.
Wallace wanted Stackhouse opposite.
Wallace throws it away. Turnover number 4. Tar Heels starting to stumble a little bit. Don't forget, ACC action continues this weekend. Maryland against Georgia Tech Saturday. Duke, Clemson, Florida, and Virginia. Virginia with a tough loss to the Terps this past night. And NC State against the Tar Heels, North Carolina. All coming your way Saturday right here on the ACC Basketball Network.
And there's Carolina going into the 2-3 zone.
Capel. His shot short. Wallace can't handle it. Last touch by Capel.
Wallace had gotten the handle of that ball. Calabria was out and long gone because Capel, normally set up with the backcourt man, was on the inside.
Maryland with its win over Virginia last night has a half-game lead over the Tar Heels in the ACC. Carolina at 6-1 in the conference.
Really good spacing by Carolina on their offensive sense.
No bucket, offensive. Stackhouse with the charge on Meek, and that's 2 on Stackhouse.
Now this would be an excellent time for Duke University with Stackhouse having 2, particularly if Carolina's not in the zone. to get the ball down inside. You see Stackhouse having no problems on the dribble beating Parks. But wherever Stackhouse is set up in his zone, it'd be a good idea for Parks to get near him and get the ball to Parks, try to pick up that third on Stackhouse.
Carolina takes Wallace out with 2 personals. Zwicker comes back in, and North Carolina goes to his zone. Carolina seems to be playing more zone this year than we've seen in the past.
Well, the reason for that is it's a very short bench. So they preserve themselves by not going out and playing that tight half-court or any full-court pressure.
Parks in double figures now after that 3-pointer.
Crowd back into the game. Not that they ever really left.
Stackhouse. Wojciechowski, Price.
Big shot here.
Reset the clock.
With a chance to get it down to 6. I really think they should go inside the Parks and make Stackhouse play him.
Largest lead was 17. Right now, Carolina by 8. Capel to Meek. Meek comes back with a tip. The lead is 6.
The crowd is alive. You know, Tim, in all sports, sometimes you get that big, easy lead early. When they were 9 for 10, you have a tendency to put it in a different gear.
Billy Duke is playing with so much emotion now, emotion they didn't seem to have early on, or at least they were tight.
Without question.
We'll be back after this from Budweiser. Blue Devils on a 15-4 run.
I believe that guy was dipped. There's no way they could have painted that on him.
And he's paying for this education. Oh, tough shot. Wojciechowski comes down with it.
You want a better shot than that coming out of a timeout.
Parks for 3. And this will be called on Capel. I guess you'd say that you'd like Duke to be a little bit more patient in the shot that Parks took, but they're on such a run, they feel it right now, just let them go.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good shot. He's wide open. Cherokee has proven to be an excellent shooter from that range. You're not going to get much better shot than that.
Number 22.
Duke over the limit. Stackhouse will go to the line, shooting 1-1. Landry checks back in. Calabria will go out. The announcers for this game selected and compensated by Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports. Any use of this broadcast without their express permission is prohibited. Stackhouse misses the front end of the 1-1. Well, the confidence level on the Duke team has just risen tenfold.
There's the play. Down inside to Cherokee and one. Tim, that's the play for Duke. Get the ball from high down into low, particularly with Wallace out of the game in foul trouble. Carolina has a tough time with that matchup. See, Stackhouse almost got himself in position for his 3rd foul. Although Cherokee has developed into an outstanding perimeter player, his role tonight in this game should be down in that paint.
That's the first on Zwicker. Parks goes to the line.
Two 29-point games this year.
He's at 66 of his 87 free throws. 13 points now.
He's having an All-American caliber season.
He had a career high 29 last week against Notre Dame.
Right. Duke goes zone for the first time today. 1-2-2 with Parks and Meek in the back. Probably because of the fact that they've already put Carolina in the bonus.
Carolina's lead was up to 17. Now it's down to 3.
Now remember the great outside shooting team that Carolina has.
Zwicker put it on the floor, almost had it taken away. Last touch by Duke.
Down to 5 seconds. Carolina, you look out on the floor, who's going to take this shot? Now, if I was Duke, I'd really have my eye on Donald Williams. You had 5 seconds. You know they're going to want to get the
Shammond Williams.
Donald Williams was open, Tim, and never touched the ball in that sequence.
This place is rocking.
And North Carolina known for their great comebacks. Duke on one right here of their own.
To go in the first half. Wojciechowski. Well, that was an NBA three.
You got to question that.
Stackhouse kicks it out to Williams. Shammond Williams can't get it to go.
Carolina has lost sight of who got him into the lead. It was Stackhouse and the other Williams named Donald. They're not touching the ball to get an offensive scoring position.
Foul or get fouled with his shot.
Number 3, Ricky Price, his second, 8th on the team. Jeff McGinnis and Calabria back in.
It's a second on Price, 18 fouls.
Carolina with just 2 of their starters on the floor here in the last minute and 15 to go. Calabria and McGinnis.
Geth checks in, the first playing action he's seen tonight. Zwicker, Geth, Calabria, McGinnis, and Landry for North Carolina. You see Langdon as Price goes out for Duke. Well, this is as close as it's been since it was 2-2.
It's amazing what Carolina has been able to do this year with this ball club, considering what they come off the bench with.
Well, here's a former walk-on. He stepped in when Calabria was out. He's gotten a lot of quality minutes, and he plays big now. Makes both his free throws.
That's why if this team's going to make a real run in the NCAA tournament, they've got to stay healthy. And obviously that starting 5 has to continue with this great pace of theirs. Zwicker giving them some quality minutes.
Capel's attempted 3 was in and out, and he made that and tied the score. The roof would have come off the camera.
Duke showed a little zone, now back to their man-to-man.
45 seconds to go in the half. Nice move by Landry.
Got foul.
No call. McGinnis gets it back. 35 on the clock, 32 on the shot clock.
They'd be wise to hold it for 1 without any of their major scorers out there.
There's a 2-second differential. That's the game clock you're watching.
Wallace on the bench, Williams on the bench, Stackhouse on the bench. If you're Carolina, you don't want Duke to even touch it the rest of the way, even if you got to hold it the whole way.
Here comes Calabria. Nicely done. That's his first bucket of the night. His shot is no good. It would have been no good, but that's a nice run by Duke to get back in this after Carolina had opened up a 17-point lead. So the end of the first half, it's Carolina 34, Duke 29.
There's the advantage for Duke. They've got the 2 twin towers in there against 1 for Carolina. They've got to take advantage of that matchup.
Parks with 15 points makes the steal.
Pulls up over the 3-point line.
Leak.
Again, the 2 big guys taking advantage of 1 big guy.
It's a 1-point ball game.
Let's see how long it takes to get Stackhouse and Williams the ball in their hands in this half.
This is Wallace in the paint. Parks with the rebound.
Chance to take the lead. With a bang right back down inside to Cherokee Parks.
Duke's first lead of the ball game. This will be a block taken by Langdon.
Tim, I really think that Carolina, and although this is not Dean Smith's style, can clear out for Stackhouse every time down the floor and put so much pressure on Duke to have to try to stop him because Cherokee Park's just waving at him. I mean, he's not even close to stopping him on the dribble. But then Jerry Stackhouse can start dishing out to the outside for easy three-point shots for Williams. Don't make this game any more difficult than that.
First foul on Trajan Langdon. And Stackhouse rolls it in. So Jerry Stackhouse now with 9 points. You know, Virginia Tech played well against North Carolina, and then Stackhouse had just a monster slam dunk that just seemed to change the momentum of the game. He has that impact.
Well, I think that this team, and it has always been a tradition with both of these schools, thrives on teamwork and distributing the ball among people. But every once in a while, you get in a situation where there's such a mismatch, you've got to take advantage of it. It's not being self, it's just being smart. Back to the zone. Price out on the wing. Opposite side.
Park. In and out.
Boy, there's some strength, huh? Because Langdon, not exactly a weak guy himself.
Called a jump ball. The possession arrow belongs to North Carolina. 7:52 to go in the ball game. The Tar Heels lead by 1. North Carolina's only loss was to NC State by 10, January 4th.
Just think at that time, opening game in the ACC for the Tar Heels, people say, wow, this is not going to be their year. And they have really come back and played solid.
Oh, it's a nice ball club. Here's Williams. That's for 2.
Maybe a little conversation at halftime. Make sure Williams and Stackhouse are still on the floor. With this zone, unless they pound it inside down in the middle, it's going to allow Wallace to play without getting any further foul trouble.
Langdon takes it, banks it in, and 1.
Excellent strength. We saw that before by Langdon. Maybe just a freshman, but he's got the body of a senior. Excellent move here on his part.
He now has 4 points. The freshman from Anchorage, Alaska, had a career-high 20 against Maryland last weekend. Converts to 3 points, and it's tied at 38. First tie since it was 2-2.
Langdon shows you that stroke, 83% free throw shooter. Oh, that's a key call.
Called it on Eric Meek, I believe.
Parks has 2 at halftime in foul trouble. And Newton may be the guy to come in here for Meek early. He's just pushing. It shows you how strong Wallace is.
Some serious bumping and grinding with the big guys. That's the first on Meek. Here's Williams again.
Donald getting a good-looking stroke again, though, with his shot. Shoots much better when he glides on in towards the basket. Whoa, Langdon for 3. Boy, he froze Donald Williams with that fake. Here's how this game is being played, strictly half court at a time. Nobody getting any breakouts. Nice hedge move by Meek, but he was holding as Wallace cut to the basket.
That'll be the second on Meek in the last minute.
Number 52, Eric Meek, his second, 3rd on the team.
Look at the minutes that they're getting, Billy. That's more freshman playing time since Billis, Allery, Henderson, Johnny Dawkins, that group. Nice little jump hook by Wallace.
Nice catch. Beautiful half hook. He's got that shot down.
Great extension. Hits it high. Finger control. 1-point game.
Now, the major difference between this Carolina team and ones we've seen in recent years, they just play half court at a time on defense. No three-quarter or full court pressure at all.
Langdon again.
Starting to feel it.
For three. He now has 11 points.
Duke was 1 for 10 from threes in the first half and still came back.
Nice pass to Wallace. And the finish. Parks left alone beyond the arc.
Well, NC State gave Carolina a taste of three-point shooting, and now Duke is doing it. Of course, Carolina showed a little three-point shooting of their own with 17 made against Florida State for a school record.
Stackhouse, look how sweet he glides down.
Well, he knows he can elevate with power against even big people like Parks, so not afraid to take it in there. Neither team really playing good defense right now. It's pretty easy to get off the shot you want. Look at this.
Great entry pass by Capel to Meek.
I think Carolina is shocked in the fact that it looked like they had a walkthrough here the first 5 or 6 minutes of the game. They're having a hard time getting their feet moving again. Here he goes, right by Parks. Meeks couldn't get there in time. Meek couldn't get there.
First Parks went down, and Meek went down. And Stackhouse never even broke stride.
He's standing at the top of the key looking at both of them.
Both those guys checking their dentures. Meek goes out, Newton comes back in. Meek now has 3.
Well, Meek got excellent position here. Capel pulled his man back out, which created the angle. Eric Meek inside, excellent pass. Good patience by Meek to wait on the pass.
2 shots.
So Jerry Stackhouse goes to the line. He's having a great year. He's hit double figures 16 of the last 17 games. He's now got 13 in this one. 7 straight 20-point games. Price and Capel go out of the game. Collins and Wojo come back in for Duke.
Let's see what Newton does. He gave Duke the really key 5 minutes that was necessary in the first half. Got him started.
14:39 to go. We'll return after this message from Continental, the official airline of the ACC. Look at Duke in the second half from beyond the arc.
Well, that's what impressed me so much about their comeback in the first half, Tim, is normally you make a comeback from that far down. You do it by getting hot from the outside, but they were 1 for 10 and still battled back to be in a position to take the lead at the end of the half.
Carolina led by as many as 17. Duke's largest lead was 5, and right now it's 3. On the floor right now for the Blue Devils, Parks, Newton, Collins, Wojo, and Langdon. Collins left alone.
It's in the water there now. They're 4 for 4 from 3.
McGinnis is fouled by Wojciechowski way out front. Boy, I tell you, when Collins starts hitting them, he was 7 for 44 from beyond the arc before that shot. It's time to play fast takes, identify the player that appeared in the Continental Airlines halftime feature. Here's your number. Call 1-800-836-3ACC within 24 hours to enter. Your secret code 18.
Good screen that time by Stackhouse.
McGinnis tries to drop it in the lane, and it's taken away. Langdon.
Good drop.
Collins.
Two baskets. First half, remember Collins went in there, had 2 bad plays. Now he comes right back with 2 excellent baskets.
This foul is on Langdon, and Wallace is upset with his own teammates. He's upset about the defense at the other end.
Well, there was a pass where McGinnis really tried to make it too tough an interior pass. Langdon really doing a nice job pushing his ball up. Hits outside. Collins with a pump fake in the drive. Nobody there to help out at all.
Wallace hits the first. Team fouls. Duke has 6 this half. Carolina just 1.
Wallace and Tim Duncan having a good go at each other in shot blocking in the league as well as rebounding. Duncan leading in both right now. But another monster game with his double-doubles that continue. Seems like every night he goes out there with a 20 and 14 or 18 and 12 night.
Langdon, wow! Do you believe it?
I mean, these aren't even hitting the rim.
5 for 5 beyond the arc. Duke's biggest lead. Wallace fouled by Newton.
Newton was right there with him, though, on that shot.
That's 3 on Newton.
Foul was on Greg Newton, number 55. His third.
But if you're Duke, you can afford to. Well, no, they don't. They're going to come back with. Meek comes in, Parks out. As solid as both of those guys have been playing, you can let Newton just aggressively play himself right through it.
Newton has 3, Meek has 3, and Parks gets a breather. Now, Rasheed Wallace is only a 61% free throw shooter, but at the line tonight, nothing but net, 2 for 2. He's stroking.
Number 3, Ricky Price returns.
Also has 15 points.
You know, Tim, when you think of these two programs, and you started off tonight talking about the great programs that they are, in the 14 years since Mike Krzyzewski's been here, only in 1990 did these two teams play when one of them wasn't in the top 10. And out of those 14 years, Carolina's been in the top 10 12 times, Duke 7. When you start talking about quality basketball programs, that about says it all. Duke really picking up now. You can see the feet are much quicker.
Look at Price.
It's awesome.
59-50.
Carolina kind of shell-shocked right now. They look uncertain, don't they?
They really do. Calabria made the save there.
Boy, he is so tough one-on-one with the ball. That's the 4th for Newton. And I'm sure that Pete Cadet would like to have had Newton stay on the floor a few more minutes before he had to come back with Cherokee Parks. But it's too late now.
You know, Billy, UNC has been on a nice roll. Clemson had a fast start, but then the Heels were patient. They won big. Carolina handed Virginia its first loss in the conference. Nice game by Donald Williams. Tough win against Virginia Tech. Tough win against Wake Forest. They were down by 10 with 5:45 to go against Wake.
Well, one of the things about this club, it'll be very difficult to blow teams completely out, with the exception of a game like Florida State, where they're just on fire from threes, because you're not going to come in off the bench with people that can extend your lead, and the starters have to somewhat pace themselves in regard to the energy level.
12:30 to go in the ball game.
And right now, Duke getting good play off the bench from every guy that comes out there. Here's Collins again. Sooner or later, somebody had to miss.
That's the first. Boy, Calabria had an idea from beyond the arc. Drives instead and scores.
Well, he ought to have ideas beyond the arc. He's shooting over 60%. But a good move on his part to take it in the hole.
Leads the ACC.
Leads the nation.
Dangerous pass by Wojo.
Number 5, Jeff Capel into the lineup for the River.
11:58 to go in the ball game. We'll be back after this message from Bud Light.
Make sure to follow the progress.
59-53, Duke. Tim Brandt and Billy Packer with you at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
Carolina trying to put a little bit more pressure on now with their man-to-man. Good hands by Price. Don't want to turn it over here.
Blue Devils still looking for the first conference win of the year. The foul away from the ball.
That's a big break for Duke. Kind of out of sequence there. The shot clock going down on him. Landry on the hole.
Second on the team.
That's the first on Landry. Look at the field goals in the second half.
Can really is some shooting display on behalf of both teams, for that matter.
Capel. Easy. His first bucket.
A lot of easy looks here.
It's incredible to me that we're sitting here talking about Duke looking for it. Landry drops a three. That we're talking about Duke looking for its first conference win in February.
Well, I can't think of a situation quite like this. I have to go all the way back to the first year I ever remember Duke Carolina. That's when I was in college. The semifinals, the ACC tournament. Carolina had beaten Duke 3 times that year in regular season by more than 20 points and lost in the ACC semifinals back in 1960.
Parks follows Collins and one.
One of these times, Collins going to hurt somebody with all that, isn't it? You know, I mean, he could have broken the guy's back there.
He knocked Wojciechowski halfway down the bench.
See, Collins comes, no block out whatsoever by Williams. Collins goes right by, gets fouled twice. Now watch what he does here. This is crazy.
Watch Wojciechowski.
He could have broke his back.
Calabria comes back in to replace Pierce Landry, and Zwicker comes in, and Stackhouse will go out.
There's a good indication, Tim, in regard to how Carolina's been thrown off balance. No block out whatsoever. A guy the size of Collins comes down the middle and gets a wide open rebound.
Zwicker can't handle it. McGinnis got caught in the air. Zwicker couldn't handle it. Here's Capel, left alone for three.
I tell you, you talk about momentum and a shift in one. This is an all-timer here.
10-point lead. Duke's largest.
Zwicker just batted that one. That was a big break there for Carolina. Timeout, Carolina, if they score.
Price.
Carolina completely out of sync. Great job by Duke in the comeback. The fans feel like it's the days of old, huh?
It's deafening. Here's Williams. Oh, nice follow by Wallace.
And here's Wallace. That was a flush.
That puts a silencer on him. Boy, the Cameron Crazies in rare form tonight.
Well, you can imagine, you know, what it's taken on this campus. You know, basketball has been so great here. The fans have been so great. And they got to get up and go to class every day. And what in the world is going on? This is part of the tradition of why I came to Duke, was to watch the basketball team play and win.
Billy, we talked about them looking for their first conference win, and yes, they were ranked 8th in the country in November, 9-2 in December. Shot clock at 2, off-balance shot. Meek gets it back.
Nice, smart play there by Price.
Foul on Calabria. That's 2.
Carolina really frustrated now. Now they have to start looking at the clock a little bit, Tim, and saying, hey, we found ourselves in a situation down by more than 10. And the clock is pretty soon going to become Duke's best asset.
8:35 to play.
And of course, you talk about the history of these two teams. Everybody remembers the 8 points in 17 seconds at Chapel Hill, or Bobby Jones's interception in a game that Duke couldn't lose right here on this floor to change things around.
Price shot, no.
But Parks thinks that the foul was called on Stackhouse.
Parks picks up his 4th. I'll tell you something, hands got high there. Correction, that's 3 on Parks.
We see the play. Price's shot, Parks over the top. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that was a foul. You know, he had two hands on the ball, did not push off to get there. Bad call.
Stackhouse at the line for the Tar Heels.
The Chief deserved better on that one.
Chief picked up his third. Jerry Stackhouse.
And as we say, Carolina basically a half-court defensive team now. You start talking about making comebacks. Normally you make comebacks starting off with your defense. Particularly against a hot shooting team like this, you got to slow them down somewhere.
Look at Wallace and Meek actually went out of bounds, blocking each other out. This game's gotten physical, folks. And Wallace picks up a personal.
There's that great first step by Price again.
That'll be 3 on Wallace.
We talked about Stackhouse having an advantage when he put the ball on the floor against Parks early on. Price has that same thing as he gains confidence on Wallace.
That's 5 team fouls on the Tar Heels now. Ojakowski throws it away.
Too much distance between man and receiver.
Offensive on Stackhouse.
He made such a great move that Wojo was frozen. Stackhouse, yeah, exactly, you know. That'd be like you and I trying to guard him, Tim. He'd be so sure that the fake was going to get us out of position, we'd be waiting on him and fall down.
7:56 to play. If you're just joining us, Carolina got out to a 12-2 run. They led by as many as 17 in the first half. It was 34-29 Carolina at the half. Now it's 68-59 Duke. What a turnaround.
He started out making 9 of 10, going to Wallace and Williams. Stackhouse got away from him. Tough shot.
This foul is on Meek.
Now, two things are going to happen bad if Duke fouls. One is it puts Carolina on the line. But number 2, it stops the clock all the time, Tim, so they get points with a silent clock.
That's 4 on Meek. It's also 10 team fouls. So the Tar Heels will be shooting 2 every trip to the line now.
And Carolina, a team that normally is pretty solid from the free throw line, this year only shooting 65%.
Jerry Stackhouse going after his 6th double-double of the year. He now has 17 points and 8 rebounds.
Carolina at 65% is in last place in the league. Now, not very often do you win league championships or even contend for them when you are the last place free throw shooting team in the league.
You know, a key for Carolina this year, especially in conference games, has been limiting opponents' chances at the foul line.
Yep. And you know, Duke for so many years in their great seasons would end up shooting more free throws than the other team made. This year, a big, big differential there. Nowhere close. Coming off the screen.
Another tough shot. Parks kicks it back out.
How about Langdon? He was hot. Williams staying right on him now, not wanting to give him any more shots. There's a double team out here. Somebody's open.
Newton left alone. Duke's gone cold. Stackhouse with the rebound. It's a 3-on-2. Calabria will pull up and shoot the 3.
That's a big miss. You got the nation's #1 3-point shooter. Chance to come back against a wide open shot. And misses. And again, that clock is going to start to become very important in this game.
Duke showing a little more patience the last 2 trips.
Well, they ought to make Carolina have to guard them here. Use as much clock as they can to wear Carolina down. We know it's not a deep team.
Capel takes the baseline, and he's fouled. This is going to be called on Stackhouse. And for Jerry, that'll be 4. Nations Bank, a corporate partner of the 1996 Olympics, presents this Olympic trivia question. named the UNC swimmer who was a gold medalist at the '64 Olympics and was also the first person to swim the 100-meter backstroke under 60 seconds. And we'll have the answer for you a little bit later.
2 shots.
6:18 to go. Jerry Stackhouse is picked up his 4th personal.
Tim, the thing that really hurts there, you can hide Stackhouse, and he's a smart enough player not to probably pick up number 5 on the defensive end of the floor. But with his penetration, which is what you want now, it really takes away his ability to drive to the basket on the offensive end.
Capel makes the first. You know, Capel is only a 57% free throw shooter, which surprises me. He has 6 points tonight.
Capel really came to the front last year in Duke's great run to the Final Four. With the exception of the Arkansas game, really played well.
Duke by 9.
Langdon on a hold. His man was going away from the basket. No chance to get the pass. Bad time to foul. Wasn't necessary.
Freshman foul.
Yep.
That's 3 on Langdon.
Again, giving the team an opportunity to catch it with a clock stop.
Don't forget now, Duke has over the limit now for a 10-team foul, so they're shooting 2 every trip. Newton comes out, Meek comes back in for the Blue Devils.
Donald Williams, really surprisingly, just a 60% free throw shooter. Only been to the line 65 times this year, which is almost half of what a Jerry Stackhouse line. This guy's got too good a stroke to be a 60% free throw shooter.
He now has just 4 points in the second half, 14 for the game.
With a shot like that, you wonder how he ever misses any.
Isn't that the truth? How about the game he had against Florida State? Hit his first 5 threes. Here's McGinnis with a steal. Feeds Stackhouse, and he slams it.
Now here, if Carolina was deeper, here's where they'd really be tough. They'd be able to give this energy on full court pressure. But when you're basically playing a 5-man rotation, you can't ask guys to play 37 minutes hawking the ball full court.
Leads 5, and Langdon turns it over again, but the possession arrow belongs to Duke.
Time for Wojo on the floor. They need a better ball handler against this pressure.
Calabria comes back in. Landry goes out.
You know they're going to be full court pressure. Put your best dribbling ball handler out there. Langdon's been bringing it up. He's primarily a 2-guard or even a 3-man sometimes.
5:30 left to play, and now it's Duke that looks a little bit uncertain. Kick by McGinnis. Tough, pretty guy.
Well, he's anchored next to the guy they'd love to be able to suit up with this situation, Truth, but Tommy Amaker. He's the perfect guy in this situation, but obviously has used up his eligibility.
Capel, nice pump fake. Duke by 7.
Well, because they hit those outside shots, Carolina had to go to stop it.
Stackhouse for 3.
Gonna get tight now. If they had energy, this would be the time to keep pressing.
Call this on McGinnis. Hand check.
Foul is on number 5 for the Tar Heels, Jeff McGinnis, his second.
Well, the Nation's Bank trivia question. Let's name that UNC swimmer that had all that great success.
Jeff Capel going to the line.
Harold T. Thompson, man.
1-1.
Billy, you were all over that.
No, I didn't have the answer to that one. And a lot of others. Every time I know the answer, they change the question, Tim. Remember Roddy Piper,
Absolutely.
the wrestler? That was his deal.
Capel down double figures. He has 10.
Fans get really silent, huh? They'd do anything for this win right here. Stackhouse goes by. You knew it was coming.
Great first step. Nice pass to Wallace.
What a smart play by Jerry Stackhouse to pull up and not pick up that 5th foul on the charge. Great play.
Drive, draw, and dish.
Looking for the trap.
Throws it away.
I'd still say Wojo is the man to have on the floor right now if you're Duke. They have nobody to set up the offense.
Williams for 3. It's a 1-point game. Duke wants timeout. We'll be back after this message from Bud Light.
Doing it.
Stackhouse, Wallace, and Williams have combined for 60 points. The rest of Carolina just 13.
Race is on.
Here's Parks.
Stackhouse couldn't pick up number 5. Saw that the other night. Syracuse, the long pass. Just as Duke completed it there against the press. Syracuse sealed the win against St. John's.
Calabria for 3.
That's why he's out there leading the nation, huh?
We're tied at 76. That's the 3rd tie of the ball game. And Carolina wants a timeout.
Have a chance to be a ball person in a future Duke basketball game. All youngsters between the ages
3:46 to go in the ball game. The Blue Devils have not lost 4 straight to North Carolina since the early 1980s. They're trying to avoid that here. We'll return after these messages from the Atlantic Coast Conference.
Timmy, let me tell you a story about that one. I was sent down on the end line to do the player of the game interview with a Duke player that day with the lead, and sat there and watched that comeback from the end zone, and obviously had to go back upstairs for the overtime, and nobody from Duke got the MVP, I can assure you. It's an incredible comeback.
.325 to play in this one. We're tied at 76.
Carolina being very patient defensively here.
Shot clock at 5. Meek, fouled by Wallace.
Beautiful positioning by Eric Meek. The pass on the money. Rasheed Wallace got caught. I think he was really expecting something from the outside. Meek pinned him from behind and used his strength to go up.
That is 4 on Wallace.
And a Ricky Price for the Blue Devils.
Perfect pass.
Eric Meek at the line for the Blue Devils. 1 shot.
It's the only place that ball could have been thrown and completed.
Meek now in double figures with 10. He makes it a 3-point ball game. A lot of foul trouble with 3 minutes to play.
Wojciechowski now in the ball game. Oh, beautiful double pump.
Rasheed Wallace.
Boy, he's almost fallen on his back.
Wallace now has 22 points.
Now Duke with a primary ball handler in the game.
Capel.
Fade away.
Langdon gets it back.
Showed some strength again. You know, we had these two grappling for a ball earlier tonight. Good double screen. Langdon would have had the shot and didn't make the good solid catch there.
Plenty of time on the shot clock. 12 seconds.
I don't know if you want to go 1-4 here, though. Good catch.
Capel left alone.
Oh, what a rebound. That was Stackhouse taking it away from Cherokee Parks.
Every possession is huge now. Duke by 1, under 2 minutes to play. Call this on Meek.
But let's think about going to the foul line. Is Wallace
Eric Meek for the Blue
not a good free throw shooter?
Billy, those two have been banging so hard all night. Not the first time they've been to the floor. In the first half, they landed in the front row one time.
You see, Wallace, who is right now on record to be the best field goal shooting career guy in Carolina history, is shooting 65 from the field and 61 from the foul line. He's got 4 or 5 tonight, so percentages would be against him.
So Meeks leaves with 5 personals. Newton will come into the game. Meeks had 11 points, 10 rebounds.
Solid game.
Very solid.
Last year, in 26 minutes in this same contest, Eric Meek had 12 points and 8 rebounds, so he backed it up with another solid performance tonight.
Wallace ties the game.
Isn't it amazing that you win games doing things sometimes you don't normally do? 2 worst free throw shooting teams in the league. Tonight, both shooting over 80%.
This is the second one. And Calabria slapped it off.
Now, did it hit Stackhouse? I think it hit Stackhouse. I thought that it hit Stackhouse after it hit off the leg of the Duke player. Let's take a look at this. Smart play by Calabria. Now watch this. Bang. Oh, we don't quite see it here. I thought Jerry Stackhouse got a piece of it.
Nonetheless, the Tar Heels have the ball.
Wallace wants it down in low against Newton, who has 4 fouls on him. Like that Stackhouse matchup with Parks going by him.
Wallace wanted it badly, called for it, and fires right over top of Newton.
Second great turnaround jumper by Wallace.
2-point lead by the Tar Heels.
Duke taking a lot of time here.
Blue Devils not playing with the same confidence they had earlier.
Well, they've got Stackhouse on Parks down inside.
Park blocked by Wallace.
That was a sensational block.
Wojciechowski called for the foul.
Rasheed Wallace, both ends of the floor with big-time plays. Cherokee Parks had excellent positioning. Watch this sensational play by Rasheed Wallace. Stays on the ground and gets all ball.
So Wallace goes back to the line.
Now, if you're Duke, you got to start pushing that ball up quicker, Tim.
Wallace leads the ACC in field goal percentage. He's 4th in rebounds, 3rd in blocks. Had 6 double-doubles this year. Tonight he's been spectacular. 26 points.
As I said, he made 4 out of 5. You're a 60% free throw shooter, so percentages eventually start working the other way.
Missed them both. Stackhouse gets it back. 50 seconds left. And Shammond Williams calls timeout.
Timeout, North Carolina.
46 seconds remain, 81-79 Tar Heels.
Well, for those people who turned out early after the Tar Heels got the lead, I bet you they're back in here now.
46 seconds remain. It's 81-79 Tar Heels.
Well, neither team in an overtime this year, and I'd have to say if you go overtime and you're playing at home, it's, you know, I really would think it would favor Duke University. Stackhouse has got 4 fouls on him. Duke in a little better shape foul-wise. A little deeper team, fresher legs, but they got to get to that point.
Possession error also belongs to the Tar Heels.
I think when you're at home in that situation, be thinking to play for the tie.
46 seconds on the game clock, 27 seconds on the shot clock. McGinnis, Williams, Stackhouse, Wallace, and Calabria on the floor for North Carolina.
Donald Williams back in the game. He's the guy you kind of feel will have the ball in his hands. I'd like to have him on the foul line if you're Carolina.
Tar Heels spread the floor. Shot clock at 10. Stackhouse goes. Blocked by Parks. Calabria gets it back.
No call under the basket. There's got to be a call. Late whistle.
That was a really late whistle.
Oh, the official underneath the basket called nothing. Fortunately, the play was called from the outside. Stackhouse, some drive. We saw the great block by Wallace. There's an even better one by Cherokee Parks. Now, how did this become a foul on Stackhouse?
It's not. It's on Wallace, and that's 5.
But Stackhouse got fouled down inside. No call.
Wallace was called for that foul. He has 5 and now leaves the game. How about that?
That was something, Tim. I definitely felt that Stackhouse was fouled under the basket. No call by the official right in front of the play.
Number 45, Serge.
So Parks will go to the line, and he's shooting 2.
At the line,
77% free throw shooter. Cherokee's had an outstanding game.
He's 2 for 2 at the line tonight. Because of the 10-team fouls, he'll be shooting 2. 19 seconds left, and Duke trails by 2.
Boy, that was a sensational block. The first by Wallace, and then, of course, by Cherokee Parks, because Stackhouse was throwing that one down. Perfect rotation.
81-80. North Carolina. And Wallace can only look on. We're tied.
Boy, this has been a crazy game when you think of the comebacks and the reason for the comebacks in this game.
Shot clock is off. 10 seconds left in the game. McGinnis.
OT.
It's good if it goes. We're going overtime.
Well, Tim, I said if it got to overtime, I thought it favored Duke. Home court, much deeper club, and Wallace on the bench.
We'll be back with the 5 extra minutes after this.
Jerry Stackhouse listed at 6'5". I don't know if he's that. Going up against Cherokee Park, 6'10".
You saw out of the 5 extra games, overtime games, 5 extra period games, Duke has won 3 of those.
That was a terrible toss. The ball was thrown actually backwards.
This is Parks.
Carolina sets up a little 1-4.
Stackhouse loses it on the way up.
He talks to the referee about a slippery ball, but too late for the referee to do anything about it. Now, Capel would be smart. If he realized it is, he should say something to the referee.
Nice defense by Zwicker.
Yep. And a smart play by Parks not to go ahead and try to get a bad shot off.
Shot clock at 10 now for Duke.
Here's where you definitely don't want to foul.
Capel, tough shot. Rebound by Zwicker. Williams.
There's his running one-hander.
Oh, is that nice? Leaning in to get the foul.
He is really outstanding at that. You know, the best guy that I've seen at that in this league, Mark Price. He used to be able to do that all the time. Get a guy on his hip, lean back into him, and shoot the shot. It really was a foul that time on Williams. That error, see, above the shooter, that error belonged as much to Langdon as does Williams. Williams bangs on in there, but he picks up the foul.
That is 4 personals now on Langdon.
Mark Price used to have that down to a science.
Donald Williams with 19 points, make it 20.
Number 22.
And it's a 3-point lead for the Tar Heels.
And you see what Dean Smith is doing here, a little subtle substitution. Put Landry in, let him work on defense, have Williams ready to go back on offense. See how quickly Dean Smith gets Williams back in there and Carolina gets the ball.
Capel gets into trouble, Calabria steals it, Capel's foul. Called for the foul, Capel.
Fouls on this number 5, Jeff Capel, his second.
Interesting. Dean Smith looked at Donald Williams and looking down at him said, hey, we're right back in the same situation. You've got Calabria, good free throw shooter, so just sit right here.
Capel's had trouble with the trapping press.
And that's why I think Wojciechowski is really the guy to have in the ball game. They don't have a pure point guard outside of him. Nice touch.
Carolina starting to pull away, 86-81 with 3.5 to play in the overtime. Again, there's the trap. And there, almost a turnover by Stackhouse. Capel, tough shot. Capel tried to take it over Zwicker.
Boy, Duke just not executing in this overtime.
Carolina now spreads the floor to melt the clock.
And Dean Smith has Williams sitting on the sideline, just in case he can get him back in there quickly.
.250 to play in the game. The shot clock at 10. McGinnis, tough shot, makes it. Double pump reloaded.
You got to bring it up quickly here. Duke taking much too much time to get set up.
Carolina with a 7-point lead now and 2.5 minutes to play.
Boy, Duke really wouldn't be bad even to take a timeout. They're really out of sync.
Here's Collins.
Really out of sync, Tim.
You know, that might do it. Got 2 minutes to play. It's a 7-point lead. Carolina's going to spread the floor.
Well, after what I've seen tonight with the comebacks by both teams at various times, I'm not going to make any prediction. But Duke definitely has to go out and put pressure on them. I mean, Carolina really playing with 6 men right now. 5 on the floor plus the clock. Terrific job in overtime of execution by the Tar Heels.
Shot clock down to 6, so Carolina's going to go. 2 on the shot clock. Stackhouse.
A ball game there.
Used every second. 9-point lead.
Duke still hasn't called a timeout to get themselves organized.
That'll help.
There's one.
Parks for 3. And there's your timeout with 1:24 left. We'll be back. 1:24 to play. 90-84 Tar Heels.
There's another guy that played at NC State and coached at Duke. Does anything ring a bell to you?
Played at NC State. Coached at Duke. Vic Bubas.
Who would ever forget, huh? One of the great coaches that's ever been in this league or in the country, for that matter. A tremendous 10-year run here at this school.
Carolina spreading the floor.
I would have given the advantage to Duke in overtime, but they never came down and got themselves organized offensively. What are they waiting on now? You got to foul.
Under a minute to play. Shot clock's at 10. Williams for 3. Landry all alone underneath with the rebound.
Got the foul.
Finally, Parks fouls Landry.
In about 14 seconds we're off the clock, Tim, during that period of time. Down 6. I realize that's 2 possessions in terms of hitting 2 threes. but you're going to be fouling, so you gotta figure that Carolina going to the line has opportunities to put more points on. So it's really more than 2 possessions that you're going to need in order to tie up the game. So you got to foul quicker than that.
Billy, it looks like Duke is going to go to 10-10, 0-8 in the conference. And that's hard to believe. I mean, this is a talented ball club.
Well, it still is a young team that certainly lost an awful lot of confidence, and I don't think anybody can overstate what the loss of Mike Krzyzewski has meant in terms of being able to pull a club straight again.
Well, I agree with that. We certainly send our best along to Coach K.
Dean Smith, a lot of sweat. He likes his gym hot at Carolina, but he was in a hot gym here tonight.
This was an oven.
Yep, comes away, though, with another great win on the road. Makes it 4 in a row for Carolina.
Price for 3. That'll make it 92-87. He had a foot on the line. They gave him 2. 92-87 with 29 seconds left.
And there again, Tim, freshman mistake.
That's terrible.
Exactly. The worst shot you can take in basketball is the shot where you have 1 foot on or near the line. When you at this point, you got to be a step back.
He was backing up as he released it.
Yep. But you got to be in that position for 3 as you catch the ball.
A win tonight by the North Carolina Tar Heels to put them in a tie with Maryland at the top of the Atlantic Coast Conference. They'll both go to 7-1.
And even though it is Duke who's struggling right now, wins on the road are so critical in a conference race like this. But these fans give them some credit. They've stayed right with it the whole game.
They really have. Here's a look at the standings, and we talked about a Carolina win tonight and make them 7-1, tied with the University of Maryland. Those two play next Tuesday night. And Duke will go to 0-8 down the bottom. Duke has won 82 of the last 90 games in this building. This will be 4 losses in a row.
Well, a lot of streaks have gone down for them. Streaks out of the AP poll.
This is the 3rd straight week, Billy. They have not been ranked.
Right. And they had the longest streak going in the country.
153 consecutive weeks. 67 of those in the top 10.
Right. Right now, Arizona leads in that run with Carolina #2 position.
North Carolina 23 of 30 tonight at the foul line. Duke made only 13 trips to the foul line. We talked about that earlier. That's been part of Carolina's success, limiting opponents' trips to the line. Duke was 12 of 13, but this is Calabria.
And one of the things that had been a Duke trademark for so long is getting to the foul line, which, as we saw, they're not doing this year. And one of the things that could have happened tonight early on, I thought, again, was that mismatch that Parks and Meek had against Stackhouse and Wallace. And they really didn't take advantage of it early.
All 5 starters averaging double figures for Carolina. There's Calabria now in double figures to keep that streak alive.
Got to get them up quick.
20 seconds left in the ball game. We're in overtime. Langdon for 3. 94-89, 16 seconds left. And Parks with a quick foul.
Duke doing the best right now to stop that clock quickly. Remember those 15 or so seconds they lost when it was at 55 seconds, went down to 40-41. We'd like to have those seconds back now that they're trying to pull off one of the patented Carolina comebacks.
Billy, you were talking about streaks a moment ago. UNC has been in the top 25, 83 successive weeks. Great program.
Yep, tough to do. On schedule once again to have not finished any lower than 3rd in the league, which they'd really have to fall apart to not continue that incredible run.
Talked about the role that they've been on to beat Clemson. And Virginia's first loss. Wake Forest, tough win there. Tough win against Virginia Tech. 10 seconds left in the ball game.
Down 6, they need 2 possessions to get a 3. Doesn't help you.
Well, I don't know. He was making the basket and he's fouled by Landry.
No, that's not. Well, that's a 3.
That's right.
Okay.
Not the way you wanted. 5 seconds left.
See, and there's no reason if you're Landry ever to foul. Let them have it too, because that possession, they still need 2 more possessions. With 5 seconds to go, they can't get it.
Donald Williams and Serge Zwicker back in for
Dean Smith still working the bench. Stackhouse, McGinnis, Williams, Calabria, Zwicker on the floor.
And Dean Smith turns to Landry and probably questions, what were you thinking about committing a foul there? Go long.
4 seconds left. Zwicker's foul. Well, hold on here now. It's 95-92 with 4 seconds left.
Yep, they needed to go long on that one, Jim, because they had a man wide open. Just throw it down there. McGinnis was open. This is still a possibility here.
Not out of the realm, and the fans know it.
Now,
Great crowd.
you got to be thinking about the play, though. Duke's timeout situation. Get the ball to half court. Langdon has been hot from 3 tonight. Cherokee can shoot the 3.
Billy, Carolina in the overtime, 8 of 9 from the line.
And I'll tell you what, if you're Carolina, you don't let a man have a 3. You foul if Zwicker were to miss these free throws.
Uh-oh.
You got to foul. You can't let him have the 3 to tie and go to another overtime.
This one becomes
timeout,
huge.
Carolina.
Carolina takes a timeout. Duke doesn't have any timeouts left. Carolina still has 1. 4 seconds remain.
You know what? I think that timeout right there helped Duke an awful lot because, you know, they have to set up something special. But Carolina taking the timeout, it gave Duke an advantage, I think, of these 2 timeouts. Obviously, Dean Smith going to use his brilliant strategy to set up something up for Carolina. But think about it for a second. If you're Duke, you really needed a chance to get everybody on the same page as how you're going to get off this shot just in case Zwicker were to miss.
Now, Zwicker has only shot 14 free throws this season. He's made 8 of those. You saw him just miss. The sophomore from the Netherlands says a lot of pressure on him right here.
Okay, Timmy, I went out on the line here, all right? I said that I'd foul, all right? Now, how about you? What do you think about that theory? Do you allow a team to tie up with a 3, or you foul, put them on the line, and say they've got to do all of these things? They've got to make 2, or they got to make 1, miss it, and then get the rebound and put it back in 4 seconds.
Because right away you take away any possibility of a 3.
That's right. But you don't see many coaches agreeing with that. I guess because they have to live with it.
That's all the timeouts left. Carolina still has 1.
And Dean Smith, let's see if he guards the man taking the ball out of bounds. Probably not.
No, I don't think so. As a matter of fact, he's already put Stackhouse and Calabria at the other end.
Number 15, Shamon Williams is back in for the Cardinals.
Ed Geth will be by himself, I believe.
Oh, they had 6 men on the floor. That would have really been something. How about a technical
foul?
McGinnis ran off the floor. He didn't realize he'd been substituted for.
This is it. He missed it.
Got to put it up.
1 second. Capel shot.
Tim, you got to foul. You cannot allow the man to have that shot.
Do you believe it?
Well, we said maybe they could have a Carolina comeback, and there it was. I don't understand the strategy to allow a man to have an open 3. Now we've got a fight up in the stands. Phil Ford up in the stands. Somebody must have thrown something at the Carolina people. Of course, you don't have much of a following when you come in on the road. But here's the miss. See, right here, you go ahead, foul him on the dribble. Instead, he gets a wide open look at a 3, releases all net.
And I had given this game away.
Likewise. Nobody even there to get in the face.
Wow. This game has had it all.
Well, I said, now I'll go back. I said that Duke had the advantage in overtime.
Billy, how distracting is this? There's a fight right behind the North Carolina bench. Some fans now being escorted out. Dean Smith had to take his club out into the middle of the floor to have their huddle.
Well, now's the time certainly to concentrate on the game. You can't be worried about that. There may be somebody that's hurt.
There is certainly confusion behind the bench, and it's got the attention of the North Carolina players.
And
what a ball game.
It really is incredible, the number of comebacks and the strange comebacks in this game. Carolina starts off making 9 of 10 right at the beginning of the game. Looks like they have this thing blown out. Duke comes back at halftime, makes a great run. Then they take the lead. Carolina comes back. Duke totally out of it in overtime. Comes back to get themselves in the second overtime. Set the stage. We talked about Carolina not being a deep team. They got to be a little tired here. Stackhouse with 4 fouls. Wallace already fouled out of the game. Didn't even play in the overtime.
Well, you're not kidding. You talk about fatigue. It's 8,000 degrees in here.
Yep.
And they've been playing seemingly forever. Second overtime period. Tied at 95.
Remember what happened in the first overtime. Duke had no offense for the first 3 or 4 minutes. It was all Carolina.
Stackhouse.
Nice defense.
Parks with another rebound. He has played so well tonight.
Eric Meek on the bench with 5 fouls.
Rasheed Wallace at the other bench with 5 fouls. Parks wanted the foul, and Zwicker, no call.
Really a test of wills now the rest of the way, because both of these clubs got to be worn out. Price should be pretty fresh, huh?
Remember, Price hit that 3, too, near the end of the first overtime period.
A couple of big rebounds by Zwicker. Of course, he missed those free throws. Could have sealed the game.
1 minute gone. We're still looking for our first bucket. McGinnis is fouled. I believe this will be called on Capel.
Both teams in the 2-shot situation.
Now that's 5 on Capel, so Capel will have to leave the ball game.
Well, he should get a hand. He put it Duke where they are now.
Look at Capel. Says it. Yeah. Is that 5?
Well, it could have been called on either guy there. Let's see who's going. Newton coming back in there?
No, it's going to be, yeah, Newton and Wojo.
Well, the reason for that is Capel required 2 substitutions. He required one to come in there, obviously because of his 5th foul, but he also required Wojo to come in there because Capel had been handling the ball at point.
Number 5, Jeff Capel.
Now remember, Capel had been doing much of the ball handling. He also hit that huge shot at the buzzer.
See, Dean Smith goes back again to that subtle substitution. And how wisely he's been using this very short bench team that he's got. Stackhouse now sits down for this defensive sequence, much as he did with Williams at the end of the first overtime.
And the sophomore from Charlotte misses the second one. 96-95 Tar Heels.
Little box set here for Duke.
Tim Brandt and Billy Packer with you in the second overtime in Durham.
Just as Duke started the first overtime, at least in this overtime, their offensive set has looked solid. Getting decent shots, just not getting them to fall. Both teams picked up an extra timeout, of course, going into this overtime.
Here's McGinnis on Wojo.
Look at Calabria at 6'4", getting an offensive board.
Boy, that's great hustle there.
Sure was.
Went through 3 Duke players. 3 minutes to play.
Zwicker doing a pretty nice job getting his hands on some balls. He's not catching them, but he's keeping them alive. Remember that tap out he had in the, I guess that was in the regulation.
Billy, now Carolina spreads the floor again. They'll use a lot of the clock.
Well, they don't have Stackhouse in the game, you know, so that they want that clock working for him here.
Williams looks up and sees it at 7. He's got to go.
Good job by Langdon. He got pushed off.
Oh, Donald Williams.
He makes big baskets.
He's got 22 points tonight.
Important possession here for Duke. They've got to get off a good shot.
I'll tell you this, I won't write off Duke anymore.
No.
Parks?
I think we had him 0-8 in the league already, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we
posted it.
We posted it and took it back down.
Yeah, we had to take it back down. I think they were 6 down with 40 seconds to go, and we saw what happened. Dean Smith wants a timeout. He wants Stackhouse in the game. And he calls the timeout. This is really a smart play here. He calls the timeout. He's not going to use the timeout, so he's not going to give Duke a chance to huddle. He's going to get Stackhouse in the game for this offensive possession. He hasn't won 800-plus games for nothing.
You know, that's exactly right. He was very, very quick to go over to Frank Scagliata and tell him, I want the timeout, but I want to keep everybody on the floor.
That doesn't give Duke a chance to get organized. Runs the cheerleaders off.
Carolina has 1 left. Duke has 1 left.
But what really happened there is that Dean Smith was able to get Stackhouse rested for a good 2 or 3 possessions back out on the floor. Really surprised they don't go 1-4 with Stackhouse on the top. He's got Newton on him. He can beat him with the dribble.
Here's Stackhouse with 3 on the shot clock. He lost it. Duke gets it. Here comes Price. 1:23 to play.
Oh,
Langdon for 3. We're tied at 98.
Let's take this one to midnight. What do you think?
We might.
See if anybody's standing. We know these fans will be standing. They haven't been down here in 20 minutes.
Billy, this is truly one of the classics between these two. Williams off balance.
Oh, incredible shooting. Oh.
The steal in the bucket by McGinnis.
Heads up play by McGinnis.
1 minute.
He's asking Dean Smith, what's the defense you want, coach?
Price.
They're in a flow now. This is, you know, they're much more comfortable.
You know, McGinnis was playing defense down the other end and was pointing at the scoreboard because they didn't put up his bucket. It happened so quickly. Now it's up. 102-100, Carolina. 25 seconds left.
Don't want a foul here. Play solid defense. You did it back once. There it is. Oh,
9 seconds left.
I don't think he realized there's not that enough time for a play.
Wojo. And that's it.
Freshman didn't realize there wasn't time to set up offense. Every player exhausted, Tim. They've given it all, both teams.
And embraces for both teams. 102-100.
Well, it shows you what kind of league this is. Number 1, team tied for first place, plays the team on the bottom and takes it to this kind of ball game. Great show.
Great show indeed. So North Carolina does go to 17-1, 7-1 in the conference. The Blue Devils go to 10-10, 0-8. Double overtime. For Billy Packer, I'm Tim Brandt. You've been watching exclusive coverage of ACC basketball on the Raycom and Jefferson Pilot Sports Network. Good night, everybody.